All right, week 14 in the NFL. My name is Dave Jones. I'm with you here betting from home. Starting to get a couple of followers on YouTube and stuff like that. Hopefully, you enjoy my show. If you like my show, please share it with some other people. I'm always trying to make improvements. You can find me on all your favorite podcast download sites like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. So all those good things. YouTube. I'm still doing a raw edit there. Haven't really sat down to learn like video editing software. Plus, I don't want to afford any of the good stuff, any good editing software yet. So we're still doing a raw edit on that. Twitter. Betting _ home 87. So you could reach me out that way. Leave comments. Tell me what you think about the video. And then TikTok, I usually do like my top 4 or 5 bets in there. So let's kind of get into week 14. There's a lot of games that I felt pretty confident in this week. Let's start with Tennessee versus Jacksonville. Now, initially, obviously, I think that Tennessee is going to win this game. However, I've been liking the Jacksonville Jaguars to cover, and Tennessee. I initially kind of felt like in the beginning year they had a great defense. In the last 5, their defense has let up a couple of more points than usual. 41 to the Browns. However, the Browns are kind of on a winning streak here. 26 to Indianapolis. 24 to Baltimore. 34 to Indianapolis the next time they played. And they beat the Bears 24 to 17. The Bears aren't very good, so the fact that they even scored 17 points, that's still letting up a lot of points. Jacksonville, I've been saying all year, has the ability to score a lot of points. Even though that they lose, they've lost 1, 2, 3, 4 of the last 5 games. The opposing team scored 27. And then Green Bay scored 24. So they find a way to lose. So I'm not really going to take Jacksonville to lose, but Jacksonville +7. That's my first best bet. The last 2 weeks I've been 7-1 at my best bets. So I'm doing pretty good there. Obviously Tennessee is going to win this game. It wouldn't surprise me if they lost completely, just because, hey, you're going to have a couple of hiccups somewhere in the games. Tennessee this year 8-4 going into week 14. Jacksonville 1-11. Do they get their second win of the season? I wouldn't really count on it. But moving on to my next best bet, we got Indy -3 over Las Vegas. Las Vegas is kind of like a team. I don't really know exactly how to place them. I mean, they'll beat a team like Kansas City, and then they'll lose to a team like Atlanta. But recently, Atlanta is actually kind of moving up. They started out kind of bad this year, but recently Atlanta has found a way to hold teams to under 24 points. I believe last week I've determined that they had, the last 5, they've been holding teams to 19.6 points. And so when you lose to Atlanta recently, it's not as big of a statement as it was in the beginning of the year. when I kind of look at their schedules, the reason why I picked Indianapolis to win is they have beaten better teams like Green Bay and Tennessee. And the Las Vegas Raiders, I remember they did beat Kansas City, but that's kind of like Kansas City's like Achilles heel. So, for some reason Las Vegas kind of knows how to at least make it a close game versus Kansas City. But in the last five, actually the last time they played Kansas City, they lost. They beat them earlier on in the season. In the last 5, they beat Denver, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Jets, and they lost to Atlanta and Kansas City. So it's kind of like, I feel like Las Vegas can only beat typically, or well, I shouldn't say typically bad teams, but bad teams for this year. And with only a 3-point spread going into this week, be careful with the 3-point spread. You can win by the Indianapolis or the Las Vegas Raiders can win by 3, and it's still going to be a draw. So, and Indianapolis can win by 3, and it still be a draw, which of course is only a field goal. So, you want to be careful with winning by 3 because you think, oh, they'll win by a field goal. No, that's a draw. So, you might want to just take Indianapolis straight up. And if you're feeling lucky, you go with Vegas. But I'm leaning towards Indianapolis to win this game. The next game that I like is Green Bay versus the Lions. Green Bay obviously is a top pick to win their division. And they're probably one of the better teams in the NFC to come up and match versus Kansas City. Aaron Rodgers is, I think, the best. I feel like he's the best. Well, he's older, but he's younger than like Drew Brees. And Drew Brees is recently a little bit beat up. However, New Orleans, I also think New Orleans has a really good chance of rivaling Kansas City as well. And I guess if it came down to it, the New Orleans defense is better than Green Bay's. But I think in the playoffs, you're going to want Aaron Rodgers versus Drew Brees. There's a lot of debate there. I mean, you can go back and forth on what you think. But some people think Aaron Rodgers is overrated. He's not overrated. He is one of the best. He's a top 5 in the league. The Lions, don't let them fool you. They're terrible. They did beat up on the Bears last week. They were losing 30-20 and had a great comeback win for them. Let's take a look at their last 5. They're 2 for their last 5. They lost to Houston, Carolina, and Minnesota. All 3 of those teams, I believe, are under 500. I'm not sure about Carolina. I would have to double check that. But all 3 of those teams I would at least put down as worse teams. Not that great teams. They beat the Washington football team and the Bears, which is not really saying much either. Green Bay, you can't say they've had the strongest. They've had the strongest schedule this year, but they won the games that you felt like they should win. They had a couple of upsets. They lost to Indianapolis, which is a better team, but it was an overtime game, 34-31 in overtime. They lost to Minnesota, which has proven you to be a better team than we all imagined, and they lost to Tampa Bay, which we kind of felt like going into it that Tampa Bay was going to win that game anyhow. They beat New Orleans as a highlight win. And you see, they don't really have a really strong signature win, but they win games by a lot, and they kind of win convincingly. I watch a lot of their games. Being a Bears fan, I will cruise on over to Green Bay, and a lot of times you just see them rolling down the field with Aaron Rodgers and what's his name? Jones. So they have a really good Aaron Jones. They have a really good feel together, and he's one of those. Aaron Jones is one of those top running backs in the league. He can go and catch the ball, and he knows what he's doing. He's a real professional. That Valdes-Scantling has kind of picked up as another good target for Aaron Rodgers, who is doing his job at least, and winning these games for Green Bay and being a huge part of it. Green Bay's defense has picked up. With the 7.5 point spread, I like Green Bay minus 7.5. So we kind of have to move on from there. And the next game I like is Atlanta -2 over the Chargers. I've been down on the Chargers all year, and recently, you got the Atlanta 4-8, the Chargers 3-9, 2.5 point spread. I like the fact that it's 2.5 because you could kind of just say that Atlanta will win by at least a field goal, and you'll still pick up a win on your bet. Like I said, recently Atlanta has been averaging in the last 5. They've been averaging 19.6 let-up points on defense, which is way better than they were at the beginning of the year. The Chargers are really on a downward spiral here. They can't really score. They're losing to bad teams. They lost 45-0 versus New England. They lost to Buffalo, which is a good team. They almost lost to the Jets, 34-28. They lost to Miami, which is a decent team. I don't know. They don't have a signature win. And they lost to Vegas, a decent team. The Chargers don't really have a signature win this year where you feel like, oh boy, they totally showed you who they really are. They beat Cincinnati, Jacksonville, and the Jets. So I think Atlanta's going to win this game by like 10. So the 2.5, in my mind, is an easy bet to throw in there. Washington football team versus the San Francisco 49ers. I know that Washington just came off of a win versus Pittsburgh. I want to talk real quick about that. Don't get too overexcited about Washington beating Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh played 3 games in 11 days. That's like unheard of. That's because their original game was scheduled for the Thanksgiving Thursday night game, and it got moved to, I believe, Wednesday, and then they played on Sunday, and then they played again on Tuesday of this week. So when you play 3 games in 11 days, that is a heck of a stretch to try to push out 3 wins in a row. Everyone keeps saying, oh, their schedule. They win. A win is a win. And they're winning. It's not like they're doing a bunch of comeback wins. They start off early and they just kind of continue to score when they need to. Now going back to the Washington 49ers game, The 49ers, however, are on a downward spiral. Alex Smith is back. Congratulations to him after suffering that gigantic leg injury. Gruesome. But we don't need to talk about that. But it's amazing he's coming back and he looks really good for someone who suffered such an injury and came back. San Francisco is on a downward spiral, losing 4 of their last 5. And I believe it's almost even more than that. Let's see. No, they had 2 wins before that. So they lost 4 of their last 5. Their 1 win coming to the Los Angeles Rams in a close game, 23-20. They have played some better teams. They did lose to New Orleans, Green Bay, and Seattle. So you could make the argument that San Francisco is kind of better than their record shows, but they find ways to lose. And by week 14, you could say they are what you think they are, and the record kind of speaks for itself at 5-7. Now, Washington football team also at 5-7. When you have a position as important as the quarterback changing in week 14, you can't quite say the same thing. They are who we think they are. Kind of deals with teams that hasn't had as big of a thing as the quarterback change in week 14. That's really late in the season to be switching it up here. And they are on a 3-game winning streak. Cincinnati, Dallas, and then Pittsburgh. We talked about the win versus Pittsburgh there. Another thing I want to point out, they've won the last 3 games. Their defense has led up 17, 16, 9, 27, and 20. So that's actually the last 5 games. They've been holding teams. Their defense is actually showing some strength there. So Pittsburgh did go up against a good defense. Like I said, 3 games in 11 days. It's not really too far-fetched to say that Washington's going to win 4 in a row. It's unfortunate that they started off this year 5-7. Who knows? Maybe in the last 3 weeks they bring it up to 8-8 and hammer out some wins here. They're not going to make. They unlikely to make the playoffs, but it gives them hope for next year. Moving on down to. I'm taking Pittsburgh over the Buffalo Bills. They're actually the 2.5-point underdog. You could take what I just said and say, well, they're probably tired. They could actually use a regular week to get prepared for this. Keep in mind that they just played. Was it Tuesday or Wednesday? Like they just played. It's another short week for them. I actually put this as a stay-away game. It's not one of my best bets. It's a stay-away game. And actually, I wrote it down initially as a trap game because they're gonna want you to pick. Everybody is kind of flying low on Pittsburgh right now. They're like the underdog here, and the Bills are gonna handle them, just completely destroy them, right? Because Pittsburgh lost to Washington football team. Stay away from this game. It's a trap game. They want you to put money on Buffalo to win this game by the right now it's a 2.5-point spread. They want you. The Buffalo is just going to win this game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than you think it is. If you want to do anything with this game, bet on the over/under. Uh, Pittsburgh has a good defense. Buffalo, they've been averaging 25 points allowed on defense, and that has continued in the last 5 games. Their defense isn't that great. They beat Seattle, New England, Los Angeles Chargers. Seattle, New England, and San Francisco all scored at least 20 on them. Seattle scored 34. They won that game 44-34 versus Seattle. So they have a way. It's not like their offense can't score a lot of points. But do I really trust their defense? See, I think Pittsburgh defense is going to bring it together. Keep in mind that Pittsburgh is really looking to actually give you a statement game here and handle Buffalo. So they're going to really put together their best effort to show you that they are the team who we thought they were. I know, I'm stuck in that pun. It's worth 3 times. Anyways, stay away from that game. I wouldn't bet on it. I'm actually only covering it to tell you not to bet on it. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Ooh. For the first time in a while, I want to watch the Browns. Believe it or not, I am excited about the Monday night Browns, Baltimore at Browns. I'm actually picking Browns to win. And initially you're going to say, what are you talking about? The Browns are kind of on a positive trend. They beat Tennessee, Jacksonville, Philly, Houston, and they lost to Las Vegas. So 4 of the last 5 they've won, and they're finding a way to win games. Tennessee's a decent team, Jacksonville bad, Philly bad, Houston bad. So they are beating bad teams, and they did lose to Las Vegas 16-6. But since that game, they've been kind of on a roll where they won their last 4 games. Baltimore is 3 for their last 5. 2 for the last 5, losing to Pittsburgh, Tennessee, and New England. They beat Dallas and Indy. One thing I want to point out, though, in those losses, they lost 19-14 to Pittsburgh. They lost 23-17 to New England. They lost 30-24, which is kind of a low-scoring game. They beat Dallas 34-17, but that's kind of expected. Last year they were steamrolling teams. This year, I'm sticking with it. They're not the same team as they were last year to this year. Their offense just isn't there. Lamar Jackson is a run first, pass second quarterback, and you will see as the years go on, he's not going to be the top contending quarterback in the league year after year until he learns how to be a pocket passer. He's also Baltimore's leading rusher. So whenever your quarterback is the leading rusher on your team, it's time to find a better running back. That's what that means. I'm actually taking the Browns. For the first time ever, they're favorited by 1. Look at that, favored by 1. You could take the Browns +1 or the Browns to win. It's the same money value. For the heck of it, take the Browns +1. Actually, no, because then if you want to actually take them to win straight up and don't take the +1, because if they win by 1, then it's a draw. you're actually losing value on that. They would have to win by at least 2. So just pick them to win just straight up versus Baltimore. Moving on to Minnesota, Tampa Bay. In years past, I would have told you that no way Minnesota is going to win this game. Recently, Minnesota has looked good, winning 4 of their last 5. They've been just scraping by, though. They beat Jacksonville 27-24, Carolina 28-27, Chicago 19-13, and Detroit 34-20, which is actually their biggest win they've had in a while. And they lost to Dallas 31-28. So they've been on a upward spiral. They've been keeping it close. But Tampa Bay doesn't blow teams out. They lost their last 2. They're actually 3 for their last 5. They lost their last 2, 27-24, both games. And they beat the Giants 25-23. Their only real win has been versus Carolina, 46-23. And Carolina is a medium team there. I would pick Tampa Bay to beat Carolina again. So this is going to be a closer game than everyone expects. And I like Minnesota to win this game. Trying to see what the spread is. I like Minnesota plus the 6.5 for sure. I kind of like them to win straight up. As far as the over-under goes, I would kind of stay away from that. This could be a high-scoring game. It's currently at 51.5. This could be a high-scoring game. This could be a low-scoring game. I'm staying away from the over-under. But I do like, as one of my best bets, I do like Minnesota to actually win this game. And I really like the plus 6.5 points. Let's see. Arizona versus New York Giants. When I first saw this game, I thought, oh, Arizona's going to win, and it's going to be a blowout game. When I looked further into it, Arizona has lost 4 of their last 5. They lost to New England, Los Angeles Rams, Seattle, and Miami. And the Giants have won 4 of their last 5. Seattle, Cincinnati, Philly, and Washington. They lost to Tampa Bay. And let's see, Arizona beat Buffalo. So you got teams trending up and teams trending down. I actually think that it's time for Arizona to make a statement game. Week 14. You know, they're 6-6, playing a 5-7 New York Giants. I think Arizona really needs, it's a must-win for their own psyche. It's a must-win to build off something this year and to see if they could continue rolling. And it's going to be a game to kind of see how are they going to improve so they can come back and show us something next year. I think next year Arizona is going to make that leap, and it's gonna be led by Kyler Murray. I feel like he is going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I'm not sure if he's going to be a top 10 or whatever. Well, he's going to be a top 10. I don't know if he's going to be a top 5, but I'm going to go with a top 10. He is 22 touchdowns compared to 10 interceptions. That's a pretty good ratio. It's more than double the touchdowns to interceptions. On the other hand, Daniel Jones is 8 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. So I feel like that Arizona needs to put something together here and win a football game. Currently, the spread is Arizona minus 2.5. I love that 2.5. If you can buy it at your own sports book at minus 2.5, they'll win this game by a field goal. I can't really see it being like a 1 point game or a 2 point game. I think Arizona is going to win this by about 6. That's where I would personally put my line. Go into it however you think it should be, but my bet is Arizona minus the 2.5, -2 on some of the books. If you get this under a field goal, they're won by a field goal. I don't even see why they think it's going to be such a close game. Arizona, yeah, making a statement at the end of the year and beat the Giants how we know they should. Miami at Kansas City. That is, I almost have to report on Kansas City just because they're 11-1 and they're probably going to be the championship contender. They might even show up again in the big game. Will they win back to back? I don't know. We'll have to discuss that, and depending on how they do in the playoffs, they'll definitely be a top contender for that game. Let's dive into some of the stats. Obviously, in the last 5, Kansas City has won, but Miami is where we're going to look at. They are 4 for their last 5, but they didn't beat any great teams. They beat Cincinnati, the Jets, Denver. I'm sorry, they lost to Denver. They beat Cincinnati, Jets, Los Angeles Chargers, and Arizona. They lost to Denver. So I am going to pick Kansas City to win. And I'm going to take Kansas City minus the 7 points. Miami doesn't score that many points. In their last 5, they did beat the Chargers 29-21 and Arizona 34-31. But kind of coming out recently, they've scored 13, 20, and 19. And Kansas City, I think they're going to show some of their defense. Kansas City this year has been averaging 21 points let up on defense. And they've been kind of back and forth. They let Tampa Bay score 24, Raiders score 31, Carolina score 31, and they held Denver to 16, the Jets to 9. Look, Kansas City finds a way to win. I'm going to take them to -7. It's almost scary. They should win this game. I think they're gonna kind of try and show us that they could be dominant versus Miami. They should win this game by at least 7. It's not. I wouldn't make that my best bet. I would put that in the middle. I can't say that's another best bet though. So I'm just gonna make that a little disclaimer there. I'm not feeling 100% confident by the -7, but Kansas City will win. They're going to go to 12-1. New England versus Los Angeles Rams is going to be the final game that I'm going to go over and cover big time, and then I'm going to give you kind of some of my stayaways I gave you one stay away earlier, which was the Pittsburgh game, but that has some explanation. So the final game I want to go over this week is the New England Patriots at Los Angeles Rams. It's not a best bet. It's kind of, I feel confident it's not a best bet. Right now, the Rams are favorited to win by 5. Sorry. Favorited to win by 5. And I'm gonna take the Los Angeles Rams plus the 5. I like this bet. Obviously, New England Patriots aren't the team they used to be. Cam Newton is not that great at all. He's really showing some of his downfall. He's thrown 5 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. That's bottom of the league bag. That's horrible. To Jared Goff, 17 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. Let's take a look at the last 5 with New England. They are trending upwards. They won 4 of their last 5. And honestly, I've been looking at just the last 5 games because we kind of have to remember going into the season. Nobody had practice. It's a COVID year, and at this late in the season, you want to just look at how a team is currently trending, especially when it comes to gambling and betting. It's an overall feel of the season, yes, but you want to look at recent trends. So in the last 5, the New England Patriots have won 4 of their last 5. They beat up on the Chargers 45-0, but if we kind of remove that outlier and put down that they won Arizona 20-17, they beat Baltimore 23-17, the Jets 30-27. So there's another outlier. They let the Jets score 27 points. New England's keeping it close. And then the Rams have a decent defense. Even the games that they lost were kind of close games. They lost San Francisco 23-20. They lost to Miami 28-17. It's 11-point spread there. You're gonna have your hiccups. They won to Arizona 38-28, Tampa Bay 27-24, another close game, and Seattle 23-16. I feel like that both these teams are kind of even and close as far as an overall picture. I think this game is going to be within 5 points. I'm going to take the Rams plus 5. It's not a best bet. I'm going to put that as a middle bet. You could roll the dice on Patriots winning this game. Actually, the Patriots are the underdog. I've said it backwards. In my head that the Rams should have been the underdog, but the New England is the underdog. I'm going to take well, then you got to flip it around. New England plus 5. It's going to be within 5 either way. Sorry about that. We're reading the stats backwards. My apologies. Either way, it's not one of my best bets. It's a middle bet. This is a game. It's going to be like 24-21. So either way, neither team is winning by 5, and neither team is losing by 5. And that's kind of where I put it, 24-21. I think the Rams are going to win it. But it's going to be by 3 and not 5. some of the games I didn't comment on this week just because the teams are bad. Houston at the Bears, that's a stay away game, but the Bears aren't going to win another game this season, so you could pretty much pick Houston to win. It's a 1-point spread. Take Houston to win by at least one. They'll probably win by 10. The Broncos at Carolina, I don't like that game at all. Both teams are 4-8. I have no direction in how to go. I almost wish I can bet a tie. Forget that game. Throw it away. It's a stay away game. Same thing with let's see. Oh, I didn't comment on the Jets and Seahawks. Seahawks win that game. Do they win by 13.5? The Jets might randomly score like 20 points. I would take the Seahawks to win. To me, it's a stay away game, only because the spread is 13.5 and it's too big of a spread. Don't go with it. Throw it out. The Saints Eagles, I don't want to bet on that game. Because the Eagles, I believe, are going to start the Jalen Hurts in comparison to Carson Wentz. They're starting a quarterback in this game that hasn't started a game yet. He's only come in the middle of games. Actually, I can't even guarantee you that he's going to start this game. I'm not sure he's going to start it, so I've kind of put it aside. Unless if they announce it between now and last time I was updated on it, I wasn't sure who's going to start the game. So I decided not to put any bets or wagers on that game. It's a bad idea. Plus, you're taking let's pretend Jalen Hurts does start. You're taking a rookie quarterback versus the New Orleans Saints. I don't know. Or you're taking Carson Wentz versus the New Orleans Saints. The Saints win that game. Currently, the spread is 7. I would take the Saints minus the 7. But let's say Hurts comes out and plays an awesome game. So, it's a throwaway game. And I believe those were all the throwaway games. I don't even want to go with them. Cowboys at Bengals, throw it away. 3-9, 2-9-1. Throw it away. Pick Cowboys if you really want my opinion. Take the Cowboys minus 3.5. It's a dumb game though. And I think that's going to wrap it up. My name is Dave Jones. This is Betting from Home, NFL Week 14. Tweet me at betting_home87. You could see my videos on YouTube, download on any of your favorite podcast apps, and watch a quick video on TikTok on my top picks. Usually 4 or 5 picks. Anyways, good night and good luck. Hopefully you win some cash this week. My name is Dave Jones, Betting from Home.